Welcome to the PR Bunker Podcast, the war room for PR, marketing, and media strategy. Hosted by me, Don Martelli, former reporter turned PR and marketing strategist with over 20 years of experience in reputation management, media relations, and brand positioning. Each episode, I cut through the noise and get real about the challenges and opportunities in PR, marketing, and corporate communications. I sit down with innovators, disruptors, big thinkers, and challengers who are reshaping industries, breaking the rules, and making headlines. Whether it's navigating a crisis, crafting the perfect pitch, or building a brand that actually sticks, this is where strategies are built, stories come to life, and reputations are won or lost. If you're in the trenches of PR and marketing, buckle up. This is the PR Bunker. No fluff, no bullshit, no spin, just the real talk you need to lead in today's media landscape. Let's get started. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us on the PR Bunker podcast, where we talk about all things PR. But from time to time, we don't talk about PR. We talk about the people that actually take our really crazy ideas and make them happen. One such individual who I've gotten to know recently through my work at Alignable is Nick Passaro. Definitely not from Boston, but he and I have connected from different places in the world. And Nick is one of those guys who's launched a new company to help folks like me bring things to life through the wonderful world of technology and using the platforms that are available to us, to whether it be applications, websites, and so on and so forth. But Nick, thank you for joining me today at the PR Bunker podcast. Tell my audience who you are and what do you do?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Don. I'm really excited to be here. I'm Nick. I've been working in different tech startups over the past 8 years. Originally from Caracas, Venezuela. I moved to Boston for college. I went to Northeastern for entrepreneurship and finance. And during college, I had the opportunity to work at my first startup, which was an energy bar company, actually. And that energy bar company later was acquired. I had a chance to, I was that guy that was even sampling products. We were like a 4-person team. That was a pretty great experience. And later on, I got the chance to then, during college as well, co-op at Alignable itself. I started within the customer success team, and they were gracious enough to bring me on full time after I graduated school. And I then spent 8 years with Alignable after that, and I had the chance to work in different roles, primarily leading the member success team, driving user retention, things like that. And then I transitioned over to product management for been most recently building mobile apps, building in-person event experiences and things like that. But now after that stint, I've moved on to starting my new company, Venbos Media, which basically what we're focusing on is trying to help different businesses and startups build software by using no-code applications. Basically, we started seeing this movement within the no-code space that a lot of different new tools were coming out that are now solving a pretty big problem in the no-code space, which was no-code tools didn't necessarily scale past a certain number of users or a certain scale of a startup. And startups would always need to transition off of no-code tools after they built that MVP. But these new no-code tools are what they call production grade. And what that means essentially is that it can scale past the millions of users, including things like Bubble, things like WeWeb, things like Zano, things like that. And so we saw that opportunity to kind of learn these tools and started offering to different people and different clients in the startup space. And we worked with the clients to build their MVPs, and they've scaled to a decent amount of users now. And so we validated that it is possible to build startups. And there's multiple success stories out there of people who've raised millions of dollars from VCs based on these no-code applications that don't require a huge expense of software engineers. The beauty of these tools is that even if you did want to move on to, software and hire engineers and do more technical and advanced things, these new tools are allowing you to export your code in ways that, don't include a lot of fluff. And so, anyways, it's a little bit about me, kind of where I landed, where I am
Love
now. Excited to keep
well, as a PR guy, I got to ask about the name. What did the name of so give me the name of the company one more time, and how'd you come up with the name?
Yeah, so the name is Venbos Media, or Venbos.
Spell it for us.
Venbos. And the name basically, I was with a couple of friends, like, what should I name this company? Basically, Boston is like your second home, and you're from Venezuela, and so I combined the VEN from Venezuela and the BOS from Boston, and it became Venbos.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect. I love that. Love that. And I also love, the simplicity in the name, but also, you play in a very complicated knowledge-based environment, but the tools are designed for somebody like me, for example, to get into Webflow and build a pretty well-designed, functional 2025 looking kind of website versus going to some of these other platforms that take a little more of a learning curve. So I'd love for you to speak to like how complicated these tools are, but at the same time, they make it so simple for those that are not developers or designers to take advantage of them to get to market pretty quickly. And as you know, in the startup space, an idea goes from an idea to all of a sudden you have staff in 2 seconds. So speed is important. So clearly you're hired to bring together this mix of channels and platforms and tools to create these ecosystems for, companies, whether it be for CRMs or for websites. So talk to me about like, how do you take this really sophisticated technical approach and kind of ease the minds of your clients, say, look, I've got you, and here's how this is going to work. So talk to us about the kind of the process of you engaging with clients.
yeah, for sure. So we engage with clients in a couple of ways. It could be project based, but a lot of our clients, because they have more of a recurring need of adding new features and new needs as they grow, they bring us on more as a software development as a service kind of deal. And basically, what we've seen is that when a client comes to us with, we want to build this software solution, what has been a element that I've been pitching is that because we're building it with no code and we're using a lot of pre-built elements as such, we can deliver this much faster. We can build experiences much faster. One, we're not software engineers ourselves, and we don't necessarily hire software engineers to use these tools to build things for our clients. And so our margins are a little bit better in the sense that we can offer a cheaper service, and you're not necessarily hiring a full-on software engineer that tend to be more expensive. And so, we're faster, we're cheaper in that sense. And I think that in that sense, I also am leveraging my network in Latin America and trying to find, arbitrage opportunities to kind of bring that even more value to our clients in the US. And so to answer the first part of the question, though, what we're seeing from clients is that they essentially are looking for, yes, integrations with their CRM. They're looking for marketing sites. For example, in Webflow, to your point, Webflow has made a big investment into the space of allowing non-engineers to build landing pages, but with the design system of that startup pre-built by the designers or the engineers themselves. So it's basically empowering the non-engineers within your company to build software without necessarily having to take away from your software developers. And so that frees up time for your software developer. That makes your marketers more productive, your non-developers more productive, and essentially your salary dollars become more efficient in putting stuff out there and making impact in your KPIs. And so that's part of the solution that what we're seeing people are coming for us for. But there's also a variety of different things like, we want to test this new product idea that we see it being a new extension of our product, but, we don't necessarily want to invest too much into it. We just want to put an MVP together, and, we'll use tools like Flutterflow and WeWeb and Zano and Webflow to kind of put these things together in a very quick and cost-effective way for these startups, in a way that they can validate. And then if they feel like they want to invest further, yes, they can keep growing with us and we can keep building that for them. But it's not uncommon for these startups to eventually want to bring that in-house some way or somehow.
Sure.
Themselves. So that's kind of the two things that we've seen mostly. But on the other side, we work with other types of businesses that aren't necessarily startups. So all around the world, I've worked with clients that are simply looking for CRM solutions and are looking for ERP solutions, where we'll grab tools like Airtable and WeWeb and build them kind of these custom dashboards and custom CRMs that aren't necessarily HubSpot, but they're more personalized to their business. It's more like on-demand kind of service.
No, it makes sense. I can imagine, there's so many tools out there, and starting a business, you're so focused on this audience, this problem, the solution, and you either don't have the talent or the know-how or really the knowledge that some of these things exist, right? So I think, the benefit of a company engaging with you and your team is that you're like me, I'm paid to kind of understand what's going on in the world, that the clients I work with, how am I marketing into that space, right? How do I get people to pay attention in a very distracted world? And you're kind of the same thing, where if I'm a business owner getting my business going, and I know I need to manage an audience, my marketing stack, but where do I start, right? And so I think a big part of what you would do is sort of explore that conversation with clients, and like, it's not about the technology, it's about what you're trying to accomplish, and then let me go out and find a solution that kind of works around what you're looking to do. I mean, what's that, the first 30-day sprint look like with a client? I mean, what's that kind of exploration process look like from your end?
Yeah, it varies, depending on the industry, of course. With a startup, they tend to come to us with a specific problem and need, where they're not looking to necessarily spend their in-house engineers' time on it, but they have some level of urgency that they want to tackle, but they don't necessarily, to your point, know what the stack is that they need to build it with. And so we've basically come into these startups and said, okay, what's your current stack? Maybe you're already using some of the tools that we would normally use, but if not, we can adapt to the tools that you're using. I don't think we're necessarily stuck to the tools that we know or that we're experts in, because we want you to also incorporate that tool into your workflows as well. And so we don't necessarily want to push on something that isn't necessarily your, because you're already comfortable with something, you might as well keep using it. But the tools that we primarily use are things like Airtable and Webflow and Make and WeWeb. But there's definitely way more tools in the no code space is growing a lot. And so in the first 30 days, we'll come in, we'll kind of evaluate what tools you're using. We'll also want to make sure to understand what are the API or integration capabilities that each of these tools have, because that's a big piece of ensuring that we can build sustainable systems. And we'll kind of build the puzzle based on what integrations exist and what don't exist, and finding how can we communicate the data between these different tools. And then once we have that puzzle kind of put together, it's basically designing what's the data flow between these different tools to essentially accomplish the output of that whole system, right? And so for certain businesses, it can be like a dashboard. For certain businesses, that could be like an email report I get every day. But obviously, with AI now in the game, we can integrate AI into these processes and automate certain tasks. Like, I even was hired by a skincare e-commerce store that we automated their entire purchasing process with Airtable, where they would be scouring products and buying and essentially purchasing and recording purchases on inside of their internal systems, and to kind of keep track of everything they're buying. And essentially what we did is, like, we automated through their e-commerce, how much inventory do you have? How much inventory do you have in transit? What are the dates of purchase and delivery based on tracking dates that you would provide? And based on all that data, we would calculate automatic reorder points. And with those reorder points, we would send an alert to the buyer and say, like, hey, this product needs to be purchased. If they click approve, we automatically generate the purchase order and a PDF through an email from that buyer as a draft, where the buyer, all they need to do is click send, and it gets sent to the supplier, to the point where, like, we could even automatically send the email, but just for, like, human touch sake, let's just make sure that everything's well. And so we found ways to essentially allow different startups and different businesses to scale without even hiring even more people, with things like that, essentially. Just
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing with the volume of tools, what they can do, and more importantly, the connectivity between the tools, which is really part of what you're taking multiple puzzles and putting them together specifically for very finite challenges, what you just described. As we get towards the back end of the podcast here, love to explore a couple more questions. First is about what's next for the company. Clearly, you just launched a firm. You're scaling, making some connections, leveraging a network. But where are you in a year or two or five? What's the hopes for the company? And because I think in your space, there's always evolution with platforms, which means you need to stay on top of that. And I'm sure that's going to bring you in different directions. So what's your future you thinking about in a year or two?
Yeah, I think in a year we wanna have a specific set of clients that we're working with more on an ongoing basis, that we act more as a partner to them on an ongoing basis. We know, I've worked at startups for my career so far, and I know the need that they have, and I know what problems they're facing, and that's kind of why I started this. And so I'm looking to connect with as many people in the startup space that I can, VCs, accelerators, things like that. Because ultimately, I just wanna work with startups in one way, shape, or form, and this is kind of the ways that I've kind of adapted my skill set to work with them. But in a year, I'd say, yeah, we wanna grow to a certain, we can constantly be working with, and I think at some point we want to find ways to, scale and offer a variety of different services to startups. So it's
Yeah.
not just about, building your MVP, but can we incorporate you into our network and refer you to other people in the startup community? Could we help you with your pitch deck? Could we help you with anything that you need to grow as a startup? Like we see it being part of a suite of services that we can provide at different stages, of course, right? We're starting at the earlier stages. I'd say our target demographic is somewhere between a seed stage and a Series A,
Hmm.
where they have a little bit more advanced workflows, but we want to listen to them. We want to understand what the problems are, and slowly we want to come out with more and more things that allow us to help them. That's kind of my passion is just helping entrepreneurs in general. Like that's what I was doing at Alignable for 8 years. Like it was about helping entrepreneurs, and any way that I can help startup founders in any way, I will. Obviously, there's other dreams, like maybe starting a fund at some point, or even my own startup at some point. But we're starting here to kind of understand what the problems are, and we'll see where that evolves.
Yeah. Well, you do have your own startup, right? I mean, you have a company. You use that. It's a startup company, so I get it. I
Totally.
I love the idea of like, clearly I'm also a Northeastern graduate, so that entrepreneurial spirit comes out of that hustle that Northeastern sort of just drills into your brain.
Very much.
I mean, obviously, understanding the types of referrals you're looking for, types of people that refer you business, but think about the industries that you think that your work applies best to. Is it like education, nonprofit, or is it really just industry agnostic? It sounds like it's probably industry agnostic. It's about the right people that work at those particular firms, but are you seeing opportunity now and at scale in very particular verticals that you feel are best suited for your growth?
Yeah, so it is very much industry agnostic. However, like I think we wanna focus our attention to specific industries, mostly to find a match with my experience and our team's experience, in the sense that we don't just want to build or automate your workflows or build websites for you or mobile apps and whatnot. We want to be an expertise partner as well. And with my clients that, they'll come to me and say, I need an automated P&L, an Airtable, and okay, I'll build you a new P&L, but I'm just not going to build you the P&L. I'm gonna find ways to help you from a more consulting, I guess, aspect, right? It's not just about the solution; it's about what I can provide and expertise on top of the solution. And so, because that experience is mostly in tech startups, that's kind of where we're focusing on. But we have a variety of clients in the finance sector, which is also a very fast-paced sector, and so they're constantly looking to automate a lot of things as well. But a lot of services, a lot of service providers as well. So marketing agencies, coaches, things like that are constantly reaching out. A lot of recruiting agencies as well. They're looking to automate that entire recruitment funnel as well. And so if you are a business that you are operating a funnel and you want to accelerate that funnel, which, again, tends to be most online and marketing businesses, you at some point do want to find ways to incorporate automation
Yeah.
and AI into your business. And so that's kind of
I could see a huge opportunity for you all in this sort of this approach to supporting clients in the higher education space. Because in my work with higher eds, on the admissions side, you got admissions, you got institutional advancement that raises money, and you have the general marketing of the university or college. And the platforms they're typically using are like the Blackbaud's of the world. Some using HubSpot, but you don't see a lot of that kind of intelligent integration because schools have just done things particular ways and they've done them for years, right? And that hasn't changed. So huge opportunity for you there. So one, I'm a big technology fan. I break more than I actually use it, but I explore as many tools as I possibly can. And I love the fact that you're industry agnostic because a lot of the work that I do is pretty much industry agnostic as well. So appreciate you sharing all that. And before we wrap things up, I always like to throw a couple curveball questions at my guests, but they're really kind of soft curveballs. So when you're not hustling, reviewing technology, breaking things, running your business, what do you do for fun?
I've been getting a lot into playing paddle, so not as similar to pickleball, but it's not as popular in the U.S.
Okay.
but it's slowly getting there. It's basically you play in a glass cage. It's like a turf with a an actual, like it's like a tennis court essentially, but it's
Okay.
in a cage, and you're playing with these special rackets similar to tennis balls. It's pretty big in Europe and Latin America, so I've been playing a lot of
Really?
that.
So it's like you're playing all four walls, in almost like handball kind of thing?
In a way, right? Like you can hit the ball backwards and hit it off the wall over the net, or you can hit it sideways and then get it over the net. And it's very dynamic and very fast paced kind of thing. It's like a similar pickleball in combination with.
Yeah, it sounds like organized chaos, kind of like your business, right? Yeah, so I asked the question because oftentimes I find that people will do things that either complement what they're doing professionally or not at all, particularly to get away from the universe. So like for me, I've been gaming since I've been, 10 years old and going back to the original Nintendo and Sega and all that stuff. So literally to the left of me, I've got a $6,000 PC gaming machine that I every night from probably 9 to about midnight, I'm either dropping into Fortnite, Apex, Marvel Rivals, Call of Duty, and that is more about like just I love the visualization of these platforms and exploring them, but it takes me away from writing copy and dealing with the media or doing marketing for Lineable. So it just kind of takes me separate. So I love the fact that yours doesn't relate to the business, but that it sounds like it's organized chaos and you're in this glass bowl with this ball flying around. So, and oftentimes you're the guy that the client's world is spinning around, and you're the guy just kind of like just focusing. Here's how we're going to set up your stack, and then I'm going to take care of the whole thing for you. So I like the analogy; it works.
Yeah, and it is also great networking because you have to play with four people, and so I actually get a lot of clients playing paddle, and that's part of why I've also kind of gone into that world. So get into hobbies, get into sports, especially group sports. There's a lot of networking that happens there, so definitely works out.
I mean, look, this is the way business gets done, right? There you are, Venezuela, and I'm here in Boston, right? Love the name, by the way. I think that's so brilliant. And networking is how things get done, and I think it's clearly Northeastern kind of drills into your brain about entrepreneurship and connecting, and clearly your experiences professionally. And I think just when you're involved in other things and not just kind of behind a keyboard all day long, and you're in your community, volunteering, playing sports, I mean, you just meet people. I mean, we'll go out to dinner with my family, and my kids are just so nervous thinking I'm going to talk to the table next to us. Hey, did you try the chicken parm? Hi, I'm Don Martelli. So I think I love the one regret I talk about in life is that I didn't network more aggressively when I was younger. And I probably did it, late 30s, 40s when I started to know some things. But when I go to visit colleges and universities and I speak to classes, I talk to the students like, hey, look, I know it's kind of difficult. Not everybody has that kind of personality, but like, just put yourself out there and meet people. And clearly you are where you are today because you had the internship, clearly saw some talent. You took that experience and really molded what you're doing today, which is why I asked the question about the future. Because as you know, as an entrepreneur, you're getting thrown things left and right. You have really no idea where this is going, but at least you have a focus moving forward. Do appreciate the time. If people are interested in finding more about what you do, how you do it, and how to connect, where can they do that?
Yeah, so they can come to our website, venbos.com, just venbos.com. Can also email us at info@venbos.com and reach out and can find me on LinkedIn as well and reach out there.
Perfect.
That's kind of the primary channels, but yeah, I mean, if you're a startup and you're a founder, you're looking to build your MVP, reach out. Like we want to find ways to support you, and it's kind of what we're about.
Love it. Love the name. Love the approach. Definitely will be pulling insights from your brain from time to time because I'm all about leveraging different types of technology to make them work. But Nick, appreciate you joining us. Again, venbos.com. Check out his stuff. Check out what he's sharing on LinkedIn as well. This is Don Martelli from the PR Bunker podcast. Thanks for joining us today, Nick. Appreciate it. Good luck in your venture.
Thank you so much, Tom. Appreciate it.
No problem. That's a wrap on this episode of the PR Bunker. No fluff, no bullshit, no spin, just real talk. If you got something out of today's conversation, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Got a topic or a guest you think should be in the bunker? Hit me up at don@prbunker.com. In the meantime, you can connect with me on social media just about everywhere, as well as visit me at prbunker.com. Until next time, stay sharp, stay strategic, and keep pushing the conversation forward. This is the PR Bunker. We out.